Haley, listen to me. We are taking Nathan to Bora Bora for your mother's birthday. He needs a mental health reset. My father's voice didn't even offer a hello. It just barked orders through the speaker. That sounds great, Dad. When do I fly out? You don't, he snapped. The bungalows are $24,000. That is way out of your league. Besides, we need you here to watch Nathan's Great Dane. The kennel wants $100 a day, and I am not paying that. Dad, that dog attacks people. I have a job. I can't just work from my kitchen. Do not be selfish. You are good at cleaning up messes, Haley. Frankly, it is the only thing you are actually good at. The line went dead before I could take a breath. He didn't ask. He didn't invite. He just commanded and insulted. But as I stared at the disconnected phone, I didn't feel the usual shame. I felt something cold and heavy settling in my chest. A decision. Before I show you exactly how I responded to that insult, I want you to drop a comment below. Have you ever been the one expected to clean up the mess while everyone else goes on vacation? Have you ever been the reliable one who gets punished for being responsible? Let me know. I want to know I'm not the only one. I didn't call him back. I didn't text my mother to ask if she knew about this. I didn't scream or throw my phone across the room. I just stood there, staring at the blank screen, feeling a strange kind of clarity wash over me. For 32 years, I had been the fixer. The one who smoothed things over. The one who absorbed the blows so the family could pretend everything was perfect. But Thomas had just made a critical error. He had mistaken my silence for weakness. He thought he was talking to his daughter, the girl who craved his approval. He didn't realize he was talking to a crisis manager who had just decided the crisis was him. I walked to my desk and opened my laptop. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a second. And then I typed. Not a reply to my father. Not a plea for inclusion. I typed, Emirates First Class. The website loaded in seconds, gold and sleek. I didn't look for economy. I didn't look for deals. I selected a round-trip ticket to Dubai, departing the same day my family was leaving for Bora Bora. The price tag for the flight alone made my heart skip a beat, but I didn't flinch. I added the hotel next. The Burj Al Arab. The Royal Suite. 2 floors. A private cinema. A rotating bed. And a butler. Total cost, $32,000. I entered my credit card information. This wasn't Nathan's money. This wasn't a handout from my parents. This was every bonus, every overtime hour, every saved penny from a career they had dismissed as cleaning up messes. I hit confirm payment. The screen flashed. Booking successful. My phone buzzed again. A text from my mother, Christina. Honey, please don't be difficult about the dog. Your father is just stressed. We really need you on this. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my contacts and scrolled to a number I rarely used. Titan Security Solutions. They were a private firm I used for high-risk corporate clients. I typed out a message. Need a priority. 1 detail for my residence. Full perimeter watch. Unauthorized entry attempt highly likely. Activate Protocol B. The reply came back instantly. Confirmed. Team deploying. Protocol B was simple. If anyone tried to enter the property who wasn't me or my husband, Evan, the police were to be called immediately. No warnings. No friendly chats. Then, I did the one thing I knew would hurt them more than any argument. I posted a photo. Not of my face. Not of my packing. Just a close-up of a chilled bottle of Dom Perignon sitting on the burlwood table of an Emirates first-class suite, the Dubai skyline visible on the screen behind it. I added a caption. Keeping it short and lethal. Dad said the budget was tight, so I made my own. Sorry, I can't watch the dog. I'm busy spending my inheritance early. Good luck in Bora Bora. I hit post. Then I went into my phone settings. I didn't block their numbers completely, that would be too easy. I set their calls to go straight to voicemail without ringing. I wanted the receipts. I wanted every angry, desperate, confused message recorded for posterity. I closed my laptop. The house was quiet, but it wasn't the silence of being left behind anymore. It was the silence of a bridge that had just been burned to the ground, and standing there in the ashes, I had never felt lighter. 30,000 feet above the Atlantic, wrapped in a cashmere blanket with a glass of vintage champagne in my hand, I should have felt triumphant. But as I watched the clouds drift by beneath the wing, I felt a familiar, sickening pull in my stomach. It was the ghost of a yes. When my father demanded I move into his house to watch that nightmare of a dog, my first instinct wasn't anger. It was compliance. My mouth had actually opened to agree, before my brain slammed on the brakes. And that terrified me. Why? Why? After 32 years of disrespect, was my default setting still obedience? It's because of a trap psychologists call normalized cruelty. Growing up, my parents didn't beat me. They didn't starve me. They did something more insidious. They taught me that love was a transaction. and I was the only one paying. Nathan was loved simply because he existed. He was the golden child, fragile and precious. I was the scapegoat, the sturdy draft horse bred to pull the cart so the show pony didn't have to get his hooves dirty. I closed my eyes and the memory hit me, sharp as a knife. I was 18. I had saved $5,000 from waitressing to buy a used Honda for college. 2 days before I was supposed to leave, Nathan, who was 16 and unlicensed, stole it for a joyride. He wrapped it around a telephone pole. When the police called, my father didn't yell at Nathan. He didn't make him pay. He turned to me, his face a mask of disappointed exhaustion, and said, "Haley, we need to use your tuition money to pay the fines and the insurance deductible. We can't have this on Nathan's record. It would ruin his future." I remembered crying, begging, and my mother, Christina, hugging me, whispering, "Be the bigger person, honey. You're so strong. Nathan isn't like you. He can't handle consequences." They didn't just steal my money. They stole my right to be angry. They framed my exploitation as a virtue. They groomed me to believe that my suffering was the glue holding the family together. For 14 years, I believed them. I thought if I just fixed enough messes, if I paid enough debts, eventually they would look at me with the same adoration they gave Nathan. But they never did. They just found bigger messes. I reached into my carry-on bag and pulled out the only thing that really mattered. It wasn't my passport. It was a heavy, leather-bound book with yellowing pages. The ledger. My grandfather, a man who saw everything my parents tried to hide, had given it to me on his deathbed. He had pressed the cold steel key of a safety deposit box into my palm and whispered, "Your father thinks he's a king, but he's just a beggar in a crown. This book is the truth, Haley. Keep it safe. And when the time comes, don't let him burn it." For years, Thomas had been obsessed with this book. He knew it existed, knew it contained the details of the family trust, but he didn't know where it was. He thought it was just a record of assets. He didn't realize it was a weapon. I ran my fingers over the cracked leather cover. Thomas thought I was weak. He thought I was the obedient little fixer who would always come running when he whistled. He didn't realize that the fixer is the one who knows where all the bodies are buried. I took a sip of champagne, the bubbles sharp against my tongue. They had trained me to be a servant, yes. But in doing so, they had accidentally forged a warrior. And this time, I wasn't going to fix the mess. I was going to let it burn. While I was settling into the leather seat of a private transfer in Dubai, 4,000 miles away, my family was imploding in the middle of Terminal 4 at JFK. I didn't need to be there to see it. The voicemails told the story with cinematic precision. I had set my phone to record everything, and listening to the timeline of their meltdown was like listening to a bomb counting down. 10:15 a.m. My father. "Haley, we are at the curb. Where the hell are you? Nathan is holding Buster, and the dog is getting agitated. You were supposed to be here 10 minutes ago. Pick up the phone." 10:27 a.m. Nathan. Background noise of a dog barking violently. "You are ruining this. Do you hear me? You are ruining my healing trip." Buster just snapped at a TSA agent. "And they're threatening to kick us out. Get your ass down here now." 10:45 a.m. My mother, Christina. Her voice was trembling, the sound of a woman who realizes her human shield has walked off the job. "Haley, please. The airline won't let us board with the dog. We missed the first check-in window. Your father he's losing his temper. Please, honey. Just come get the dog. We can't miss this flight." They were stranded. They had a 150-pound aggressive animal, $24,000 in non-refundable bookings, and no one to dump their responsibilities on. A normal father would have canceled the trip. A normal father would have found a kennel, paid the fee, and dealt with it. But Thomas wasn't a normal father. He was a narcissist who had just been told no. 11:10 a.m. The final voicemail. This one was different. The shouting had stopped. His voice was low, calm, and terrifying. "You think you're clever, don't you? You think you can just walk away and leave us with this mess? You owe us, Haley. You owe your brother this trip. Since you refused to do your job, I'm going to do it for you. I know you keep emergency cash in that wall safe for your clients. Well, consider that the cancellation fee. I'm going to your house. I'm putting the dog in the garage, and I'm taking what I'm owed to pay for a premium kennel. Don't worry. I have a way in." I lowered the phone, my hand shaking slightly. He wasn't going to the airport. He was going to my house. He wasn't just angry. He was entitled. In his mind, my money was his money. My house was his house. Breaking into my home to steal cash wasn't a crime to him. It was an administrative correction. He truly believed he had the right to smash my life open to facilitate his son's vacation. I looked out the window at the Burj Khalifa piercing the night sky, a beacon of the new life I was building. Thomas thought he was teaching me a lesson. He thought he was seizing control. He didn't realize he was walking straight into the trap I had spent 5 years waiting to spring. He said he had a way in. He meant the old garage door opener he'd cloned years ago without telling me. He thought it was his ace in the hole. I smiled, cold and sharp. Come on in, Dad. The party is just getting started. The royal suite at the Burj Al Arab was a palace of gold leaf and velvet, a 2-story testament to excess that smelled of orchids and money. My butler, a man named Ahmed who had already unpacked my bags before I even stepped through the door, offered to draw me a bath with Hermes oils. I declined. I had work to do. I walked past the rotating bed and the private cinema, straight to the mahogany desk overlooking the Persian Gulf. I opened my laptop. The screen flickered to life, and I didn't pull up emails or work files. I pulled up the live feed from my home security system in Westchester, 7,000 miles away. The image was crystal clear in 4K resolution. My driveway, covered in a light dusting of snow, was empty. But then, a timestamp in the corner ticked over to 11:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A black SUV pulled into the frame. I leaned closer. It was my father's Range Rover. He hadn't gone to the airport. He hadn't tried to rebook the flight. He had come straight for me. I picked up my phone and dialed Evan, the attorney who managed my grandfather's trust. He answered on the first ring, his voice sharp and professional. Haley, is he there? He just pulled into the driveway, I said, my eyes glued to the screen. He's getting out of the car. He has the tire iron from his trunk. Okay. Remember the protocol. Do not intervene. Do not speak to him through the intercom yet. We need him to commit the act. We need clear evidence of forced entry and intent to commit a felony. Once he breaks that seal, he's not just your father anymore. He's a criminal trespassing on trust property. I know, I whispered. My heart was pounding. Not from fear, but from a strange, cold adrenaline. For years, I had dreaded confrontation. I had spent my life walking on eggshells, terrified of his temper, terrified of being cut off. But now, watching him march toward my front door with a weapon in his hand, I didn't feel fear. I felt like a hunter, watching a trap snap shut. Everything is in place on my end, Evan continued. The deed transfer is recorded. The trust documents are notarized. The clause regarding criminal misconduct against the trustee is ironclad. If he breaks into that house, he is literally breaking his own financial future. Are you sure you want to do this? I watched Thomas on the screen. He was storming up the walkway, his face twisted in a mask of entitlement and rage. He wasn't thinking about me as a person. He was thinking about me as an obstacle. He was thinking about the money he believed he owned. I'm not doing this to him, Evan, I said, my voice steady. He's doing it to himself. I'm just letting him face the consequences, for the first time in his life. Understood. I'm on standby. The moment the alarm triggers, the private security firm handles the police dispatch. You just watch. I hung up and took a sip of the champagne Ahmed had left on the desk. The contrast was jarring. Here I was, surrounded by unimaginable luxury, safe and untouchable. And there was my father, shivering in the New York cold, about to destroy his life for a few $1,000s he thought he could bully out of me. He reached the garage keypad. I saw him punch in the code. Nothing happened. I had changed it months ago. He punched it again, harder. Still nothing. He kicked the door, his mouth moving in what I assumed was a stream of curses. Then, he walked around to the side door, the one with the old lock he thought he had the key for. He didn't know I had rekeyed the entire house the day after I booked this trip. He didn't know the house wasn't just a home anymore. It was a fortress, and he was the invading army marching blindly into a minefield. Go ahead, Dad, I thought, watching him raise the tire iron. Show me exactly who you are. He failed at the side door, then pulled out a cloned garage opener and clicked it. After a brief pause, the bay door groaned open. I had left the frequency active on purpose. The bait in the trap. Thomas slipped inside and stormed toward my office, tire iron in hand, boots streaking mud across my floors. He kicked the door open, tore down the painting, and exposed the wall safe. I know you're watching, Haley. He sneered at the camera. Without trying the code, he pried the safe open, grabbed $5,000 in cash, and laughed as he stuffed it into his coat. Then he took the ledger. To him, it was proof of his debts, and destroying it meant freedom. He taunted the camera, tossed the book into a trash can, and flicked a Zippo. No book, no proof. The moment the flame touched leather, the room filled with white chemical fog. The fire died instantly. The office door magnetically locked. Thomas panicked. He yanked the handle, smashed the window, coughed in the fog. Trapped. You might want to sit down, Dad, I said through the speakers. The police are 2 minutes away. He screamed that he'd taken the book, that the rules were gone. It was fake, I replied. A decoy. The real ledger is in a vault. And you just broke into the home of the sole trustee. He froze. I explained the Spendthrift Trust, my role as gatekeeper, and the disinheritance clause triggered by felony crimes against the trustee. By the time the sirens arrived, his inheritance was already gone. 2 days later, in the quiet of the Dubai desert, I read